Kingdom Hearts 2 holds a special place in my heart, perhaps more special than any other game I've ever played. To say that it had an impact on me as a person would be a severe understatement. This video is a little off from my usual style. It's for myself more than anything, and a lot longer, so it'll be a little more serious. But I'm still a little jokester, there will be some chuckles to be had, but it's mostly serious, I promise. I just have to display my unfiltered and raw passion for one of my favorite games of all time. Since I started my channel, I've wanted to do a video on this game, but I was scared. Afraid that what I made wouldn't be good enough. Afraid that I wouldn't be able to get my full thoughts in order. Afraid of putting myself out there in the first place. But I pushed those thoughts to the side and started creating, telling myself that it was now or never, and I made my video on Kingdom Hearts 1 and I worked my way here. I still struggle with the core identity of my channel, and the only thing I really know for certain is that I love making content, talking about things I'm passionate about in a sometimes entertaining, sometimes retrospective, sometimes completely meaningless way. And this fucking game, just so happens to be the game I am the most passionate about. The characters, interactions, lessons, gameplay, the impact this story had on me personally. I want to talk about it all. A spoiler warning for the entire game ahead. In case you don't want to watch my other videos on Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, here's a very quick summary of both games to keep everyone on the same page. Sora, Riku, and Kairi are the main trio of our game who dream of leaving to go to other worlds. One night, darkness overtakes their wonderful island, Kairi turns into a ghost, Riku gives into the darkness, and Sora gets a shiny hunk of metal known as the Keyblade. This is very important, and the Keyblade makes him a target for beings of darkness known as the Heartless, aka those without hearts. Pretty clear cut. Worlds all around are falling to this darkness, so King Mickey, you heard me right, King, sets out to look for a way to stop it. He instructs Dolan and Goober to look for the key, so they do. After meeting with Sora in Traverse Town and talking to some hot topic Final Fantasy characters, they travel to Disney World to beat the International League of Villains and arrive in Hollow Bastion. Riku's in Hollow Bastion. He steals the Keyblade from Sora, also very important. Riku is a baby about losing and gives in to creepy guy's temptations. Turns out when Kairi turned into a ghost, it was actually her heart going into Sora. Sora stabs himself with Riku Ansom's Keyblade of Hearts to save her, becomes a Heartless, also important. Kairi saves him, okay, here's the end of the world. Salad, McDonald, and Goo kick Ansom's ass, Mickey and Riku shut the door to Kingdom Hearts with the help of Sora, Kairi gets sent back to Destiny Islands, everyone's trapped in the realm of darkness. Okay, now Sarah, Ronald, and Grinch are in Castle Oblivion, there's an organization controlling this castle, also Celine, Dylan, and Garden can't remember shit. Hi there, this is Naminé. She's Sora's best friend, not actually though, and she's totally not manipulating Sora's memory so he can become a super weapon for the organization, teehee. Okay, maybe she was, so the gang whoops a few organization members after Axel lets Naminé go in order to thwart Marluxia's plan to overthrow the organization since he's undercover. The boys in Larxene and Marluxia's bloodline then forgive Naminé because Sora's a precious soul, and then they all go to sleep for a year so Naminé can restructure their memories to be correct. Riku in the basement of Castle Oblivion fights his inner darkness, tells Hanson to piss off and also that he smells pretty bad, and then goes on a journey with Mickey to master light and dark. Roll credits. Hope that helped. Now we can officially get started where Kingdom Hearts 2 gets started, on one of the best video game openings of all time. After some opening dialogue from Sora and a shot of Kairi on the beaches of Destiny Islands, the opening chords of Sanctuary hit us like a truck. We see the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 play out from Hollow Bastion onwards, Sora's sacrifice to save Kairi and his ensuing fight with Ansem. We transition into Chain of Memories, the technical true sequel to the first game, and get one of the most beautifully animated fights I've ever seen. I mean, just look at this. It's so cool. The parallel between Sora and Riku and then this Keyblade throw, oh my goodness, that's fire. Nothing else to say about that, it's just awesome. A few more things relating to the end of Chain of Memories play out, including Sora taking a little nap so that Naminé can restore his memories. All culminating in this strange blonde man mimicking Sora's fall into the ocean from the first game, even landing on a platform that paints Sora in the same light as a Disney princess, which, let's be real, he is. Opening over. Now, regardless of whether you played Chain of Memories or not, you're confused because of this one strange blonde kid. This is actually kinda genius in terms of setting the story up, because it allows those who were able to play Chain of Memories feel like they're sort of in on something that other players might not be clued into, while still starting on the same foot as those that only played Kingdom Hearts 1. You can fully understand and resonate with the story of Kingdom Hearts 2 without having played Chain of Memories. I did as a child, and I'm sure many others of you out there did as well. So how was this accomplished so well? With a lot of people's favorite fella, Roxas. Roxas! To the mansion! When you start the game, Roxas is just as lost as you are. He's literally a perfect vessel for the player. He's a kid on summer vacation having dreams about Sora. We don't know why he's dreaming about Sora, he doesn't know why he's dreaming about Sora, he just wants to hang with his friends, Hainer, Pince, and Olette. It's not long until, while being forced to fight a strange enemy that steals all the photos with Roxas in them, we discover that Roxas can wield the Keyblade. Not this one, not that one, but the Keyblade. Sora's Keyblade. But only to defend himself, then it's right back to the pitiful struggle bat he had before. More dreams about Sora, along with an increasing number of super strange events occur, including a strange redhead trying to steal Roxas in the name of friendship, and a strange blonde-haired woman desperately trying to talk to Roxas by any means necessary, often accompanied by time itself stopping around him. The player, along with Roxas, feel this frustration with what's happening around them. Whether you're a player that's genuinely intrigued by what the hell is actually happening, or you just want to get around to playing Sora as soon as possible, you and Roxas both desperately want to know
what's going on?
And you finally receive a bit of truth when Naminé manages to talk to you in the mansion, telling you,
You were never supposed to exist, Roxas.
What? Huh? Why? Okay, no more explanation on that one besides Roxas needs to rejoin with Sora. Go do it now. So you begrudgingly go downstairs in the mansion, fight off Axel one last time, but this time Roxas remembers that they were best buddies before beating his ass with Keyblades. Then it's off to see Sora in his resting chamber. Diz, who I forgot to mention shows up in Chain of Memories during Riku's story, stands in front of the pod that Sora sleeps in and taunts the ever-loving shit out of Roxas. He tells him that he's essentially a mistake, an error, and will never be as good as Sora. This kid who just wants to eat sea salt ice cream with his friends is being forced into a fate that he has no control over, told he's completely worthless besides doing his job and fading into obscurity. He feels lost and helpless, and as his theme, The Other Promise, plays, the only thing he can say as he steps up to the pod to rejoin with Sora is,
"Looks like my summer vacation is over."
Heartbreaking. I think this scene in particular resonates with a lot of people because of how easy it is to apply Roxas's circumstances to any we might be going through. I've been in Roxas's shoes. Other people, or my own self even, forcing me into something I probably didn't want to do at the time. That unwilling desperation to fight against the tide of change, to hopelessly hold onto whatever semblance of your life has become normal, and wanting it to just stay normal. The feeling that circumstances beyond your control have forced your life to move in a different direction, and the solemn acceptance everyone has to take at some point in their lives. For many that might be taking a job off or moving to a new place, but for Roxas, it's that his summer vacation is over. So anyways, fuck Roxas. Who was that again? Sora just woke up. Let's go thank Naminé. Who the hell is Naminé? Who cares? Yeah, the game kind of brushes everything that just happened off to the side in order to make way for Sora. And the gang is just as lost right now as people who didn't play Chain of Memories. All they know is that they fell asleep somehow, they should probably thank Naminé, and they need to figure out where they are and what's going on. To that end, they acquaint themselves with the actual Hainer, Pince, and Olette, and make their way to the train station where they're interrupted by the Mickey Mouse. That's right, King of Disney himself, Mr. Mouse. The gang is informed that the train knows the way, and they should go hop on. Before they leave, Hainer and co feel the odd need to see Sora off, and for some reason during this scene,
okay?
Yeah. Don't know where it came from.
Sora inadvertently has a single tear run down his cheek. Yeah, you thought Roxas was just gone? No. Roxas exists, and if the only way to fight for his own right to existence is literally force Sora to cry and not know why, if his overbearing sadness at being forced to leave his friends behind can only shove its way to the surface in this manner, that's how it's gonna happen. Sora's got this poor kid in him, desperately fighting to not fade away, and Sora doesn't even know. He just lets the tear fall and then brushes it off so they can hurry and get on the train. Man. Anyways, arriving at the mysterious tower, we discover the Heartless are still around, led by Pete in Maleficent's absence. Yeah, that Pete. He's shocked to hear of her untimely demise at the hands of the boys, and after clearing out some piss-weak Heartless surrounding the tower, the gang meets with Master Yin for a sick lore dump. There's a new enemy on the horizon, the Nobody. Essentially, when someone turns into a Heartless, if they're strong-willed enough, they leave behind a shell as well. The most low-ranking and typical shell left behind is known as a Dusk, these little dudes. But if someone has like a super-duper strong heart, they'll leave behind a completely cognizant and fully realized shell that is literally just a human. But wait, didn't Sora— No, be quiet. We aren't there yet. The Nobodies created from people with these super-duper strong hearts have made a group called Organization 13, and they wear black cloaks. Huh, that seems a little familiar, but not to Sora. He's more worried about these sick new threads that look fly as hell. Who are we supposed to thank again? It's time for Sora and the boys to go dick around on some Disney worlds, meeting old friends and new ones alike. Mainly old friends. Typical mainline Kingdom Hearts tomfoolery, but some of my personal favorite worlds this time around have to be Timeless River, Beast Castle, and of course Olympus Coliseum. Plus, you even get to visit Disney Castle after being taunted with it on the map screen in Kingdom Hearts 1, which you already know 6-year-old me was in my room snorting pixie dust when I found that out. Disney, Disney, Disney. Disney Castle is also where you get to visit Timeless River, probably my favorite world in Kingdom Hearts 2. There's just something about the really simple concept of, hey, let's make a world based in the past, but going the extra step and making the entire world grayscale, giving every Disney character their older designs, even giving Sora his Kingdom Hearts 1 design, passing every sound and all the music through this grainy filter. It's so many little things that come together to really set the tone for this world. Sure, the existence of time travel will always make things messy, but the world wraps up in such a nice little bow towards the end that it can be forgiven. I just love the world for its overbearing charm and an insanely cool concept. While traveling, you'll likely notice Sora is a little more mature this time around, and a lot of the characterization put in motion during Chain of Memories sees a resurgence here. There's a lot of moments where Sora, even though we know him as Mr. Cheery, lets his anger overtake him if the situation is right. One of my favorite scenes that exemplifies that point is right after the Dimix fight in the second trip to Hollow Bastion. After literally killing Dimix, Sora just straight up,
Anyone from the organization who'd like to be next?
Donald and Goofy even have to tell him here, like, whoa, Sora, calm the fuck down, man, what's wrong with you? Maybe Sora has a little more darkness in him than he realizes, and he just sorta suppresses it until his body can't contain it anymore. Huh, that doesn't sound familiar at all. Speaking of fights and killing, let's talk about that sweet, sweet gameplay now. The defining factor that I think truly elevates Kingdom Hearts 2 into being the perfect sequel. Every facet of the gameplay, from melee to magic combat to summons and the addition of the new drive forms, is immensely better than it was in Kingdom Hearts 1. Sure, if you prefer your combat a bit slower and more grounded, KH1 will be your cup of tea, but when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 2, specifically Final Mix, the combat, while a bit floaty, just cannot be topped. As is usually the case, you start your journey off with some pretty weak, really basic combo attacks. It's clear Sora is a bit more adept at using the Keyblade than he used to be. It matches his new size and he swings it around with a lot more ease than he did previously. The camera is also a lot more pulled back to help with this feeling. By the end of the game, Sora is an absolute menace. My man is swinging around 2 Keyblades through the air without touching them, raining down bolts of lightning on groups of enemies, air dodging into a magnet that pulls enemies in before exploding in a burst of magic. You name it, Sora's doing it. Abilities such as high jump, dodging, and gliding are no longer things you gain by naturally progressing through the story. Instead, they're gained through leveling up the new drive forms that are introduced, effectively gating new movement abilities behind some grinding, especially if you want to get the best possible versions of these movement abilities. A lot of people aren't really a big fan of this, and tend to prefer the more story-related progression that we got in Kingdom Hearts 1. I'm inclined to agree. Stuff like getting Glide from Tinkerbell and Neverland was awesome, so it's a bit of a shame they decided to take this route, but it does make grinding the forms far more worth it, so the trade-off never really bothered me too much. Then there's Anti-Form, which essentially acts as a punishment for abusing dry forms, and locks you into it until you either die or manage to run the form gauge out. Lore-wise, it's never really mentioned, but gameplay-wise it stands as a pretty neat counter for the abuse of one of the strongest mechanics, until you get to Final Form at least. If only the devs did the same sort of thing to limit summoning, which is equally if not far more powerful, especially in the endgame. While I did call the combat of Kingdom Hearts 2 floaty, it still has that initial weight behind your Keyblade swings that keep it from feeling like enemies aren't even feeling your swings. Most enemies will stagger to your hits, and the ones that don't, like say a large body, will at least react to a full combo, and even have a reaction command after you lay into them enough that does like 1 trillion damage and feels really cool to set up as well. Limits, drive forms, better magic, reaction commands, so many new systems are added into play or expanded upon that when using all of them, it can sometimes feel like Sora is unstoppable. My most recent playthrough, I had the game set to critical mode, which is the hardest difficulty. For the normal game, Sora still felt unstoppable. I died maybe 5 to 10 times total. That is, until we get into what Kingdom Hearts 2 is arguably the most famous for. Super bosses. Now hold it right there, gamer. How are we going to talk about super bosses when we haven't even discussed the end of the game? Go on, get out of the way. The ending hours of Kingdom Hearts 2 are peak Kingdom Hearts. Your second trips around the worlds go by very quickly, but have far more story significance than the first time you came through. Like a lot more. Like Sora kills multiple members of the organization and gets a glimpse of Riku more. All culminating in a return trip to Twilight Town that sees the gang venturing over to Roxas' data hellscape that he was placed in by Diz. The game won't let you leave the data room that Roxas destroyed in his gamer rage, so you take a mysterious portal to darkness left by Axel, as it's the only lead that you really have at this point. Axel saves you from a nobody ambush with a little kamikaze action, opens the other side of the portal so that Sora can go save Kairi, who he kidnapped by the way, and tells Sora that the reason he did everything that he did was all in the name of seeing Roxas again, because they were best buddies. Okay, cool, great, and he's dead. Welcome to the world that never was, the stronghold of the organization and the final world of the game. Let's take a look at all this from Roxas' point of view. After assimilating into Sora, he witnessed the deaths of the only people he had apparently ever known from the organization, and the death of his best friend who died trying to save Sora. Had to die so that Sora could be whole again. His summer vacation had to end because of Sora. He's worthless, was never meant to exist, and his only purpose in life was to rejoin with Sora. Every single thing in his life that's gone wrong is because of Sora, and he's rightfully had enough. One of the most emotionally driven and heaviest hitting fights in the series takes place right here in Sora's own head. The other promise rises into the height of the melody as Roxas fights for his right to exist, desperately trying to prove it should have been him and not Sora. Roxas has no real gimmicks to his fight besides a reaction command based off the Samurai Nobody that allows you to steal his Keyblades from him. Other than that, it's just a raw fight testing your mastery of the game so far. This is a fight between two halves of the same whole, desperately trying to show the willpower necessary to be the one. And I cannot illustrate enough how much Yoko Shimomura elevated this fight with The Other Promise, especially when the song hits its strongest notes while Roxas is doing his desperation attack in the center of the arena. The one and only complaint I have about this fight is that it was not in Vanilla Kingdom Hearts 2, and it was only added in Final Mix. That's it. After a grueling fight, Roxas forgets people can summon Keyblades directly into their hands, is struck down, and finally fully accepts defeat at the hands of Sora with the line,
You make a good other.
To demonstrate this completion, Sora can now randomly transform into final form to unlock it, showing the complete evolution of his strength now that Roxas has fully accepted being a part of him. The game gives you a Keyblade that will either transform you into anti-form or final form as a reward, called 2 Become 1, a fitting name for the fight you just had. It looks amazing, its design incorporates a lot of Roxas's, and I wish it had a better ability if I'm being honest. Enough gushing about Roxas though, and on to gushing about another character we meet here in the world that never was. Riku. Whew, where to begin? Riku is one of my favorite characters in Kingdom Hearts. Taking into account everything that occurs to him throughout 1, Chain of Memories, 2, Dream Drop Distance, so on and so forth, Riku is more of the face to Kingdom Hearts than Sora is in a lot of ways, to me at least. His development in Kingdom Hearts 2 is really good to say the least. Coming off the cusp of Chain of Memories, Riku had spent most of that game struggling with his inner darkness, and the game ended with him deciding to try to balance darkness and light, instead of leaning heavily into one side or the other. While Sora was taking a nap, Diz tasked Riku with capturing Roxas, telling him it was the only way to make Sora wake up. Riku, bless his fucking heart, immediately goes to find Roxas because he wants nothing more than for Sora to wake up. He finds Roxas leaving the world that never was, fights with him, loses, and then willingly gives in to his inner darkness to obtain the power needed to subdue Roxas. Riku eroded his own character development because it meant he would get to see Sora wake up, then didn't even stay around to let Sora know he was okay because he was too embarrassed about giving into the darkness to even show his face around Sora. He still helps Kairi escape from the castle in the world that never was at the end of the game, but all Sora sees from his perspective is the guy that was the main villain of the first game helping Kairi. Sora, being the absolute cinnamon roll that he is, what does he do? He thanks the person that he thinks was Ansem, the guy he was literally trying to kill a year ago, because he saw him helping Kairi one time. He's too precious. And Riku? He turns away trying to be all edgy until Kairi calls out to him. Once Sora realizes it's Riku, he falls on his knees, crying his eyes out with unbelievable happiness that he's finally found his friend again. You know what Kairi got? A hug. And look, I hate shipping arguments as much as the next fan, but come on. Anyways, Riku. Yeah, love him. After getting ass blasted with light by the real Ansem's machine. Oh yeah, Diz is actually the real Ansem the Wise, and the Ansem we know is actually the Heartless of this guy, Apprentice Xehanort. And do you remember when they said that when someone turns into a Heartless, a nobody is made too? Okay, yeah, no, I'm not getting into that fully. Riku's actual form is revealed, as the darkness was seemingly washed away in the blast. And, whew, what a nice design. Finally being a real homie in the world of light, Riku now fully helps Sora fight the organization, and even becomes a party member for the world that never was. This is so damn cool, and you even get to see the name of his Keyblade, which is aptly named The Road to Dawn. Super fitting for his character's journey in the 3 games so far. The only organization member left now is Xemnas, and like his Heartless counterpart, he has multiple phases to his fight that ends with a 1v2 of him against Sora and Riku.
We shall go together.
He dons an outfit that the community dubs the zebra outfit, but if you want the real reason why his robe looks like that, it's likely to represent that they're fighting in twilight, and the mixture of white and black on his robe is to represent the coming together of light and dark. Maybe. I don't know. In the ending, post-anime finisher of friendship where Sora and Riku blast Xemnas to bits with light, it's shown how much Sora and Riku have really come to understand one another, and how important their synergy is to the series as a whole. Riku flat out tells Sora that he just thought he was better at everything than Sora was, and Sora just sort of agrees, like, yeah, I thought you were too, and then they just share a moment of silence after being completely honest with each other. No hard feelings, no lingering jealousy, they just lay their hearts out to each other as Sora carries Riku out of the final battle. Then, just mere moments after telling Sora that he wasn't a total sap like Sora is, Riku tells Sora that he could never replicate having you for a friend. Man, what a couple of besties. Can I talk about the super bosses now? I'm gonna do that. Holy shit, these guys and gal are hard. In Kingdom Hearts 1, Sephiroth was kind of the top tier of the endgame, besides Unknown. He stood at the pinnacle, and beating him pretty much meant you had conquered everything the game had to offer. He was insanely difficult but fair for Kingdom Hearts 1 standards. Cut to Kingdom Hearts 2, and King Sephiroth has been dethroned. While still insanely difficult in his own regard, the only bosses he actually stands above are the Absent Silhouettes, which are fights against the organization members that died in Chain of Memories. Sephiroth is merely the introduction to the endgame, instead of your final steps into it. So what is the new endgame? Say hello to the Cavern of Remembrance, an optional endgame dungeon that requires all of your form abilities maxed out in order to complete it, with actual platforming that the main game was severely lacking in. It is a really well-designed in-game dungeon that's very difficult to boot. The final stretch before the end of the dungeon with wave after wave of nobodies is genuinely hard, even with your levels in the 70s to 80s. With such a hard, completely optional dungeon, the reward must be pretty good, right? After making it to the end, you gain the ability to fight 1, 2, 3, carry the 1, 13 super bosses. Every organization member, including the Absent Silhouettes, Roxas, Axel, every last one of them, beefed up to in-game standards with new movesets and difficulty that forces you to learn their fight down to the last perfectly timed guard. This is what an endgame looks like. Every new fight I tried to learn had me cursing a completely different mechanic as I started to practice it. Axel's stupid-ass, fiery, health-draining fuck pit, Zaldan's windshield that he just rams into you like a fucking truck with, Larxine's constant barrage of thunder and laughing that will slowly drive you fucking insane, Vexen's stupid fucking shield, Luxord's dumb, completely gimmick-based battle. I could just go on and on and on. Finally, cleaning up every organization member will earn you a little crown. That's either bronze or silver depending on whether you completed the Mushroom 13 yet or not. The Mushroom 13 are gimmick minigame heartless that give you various rewards for playing their games. Pretty neat addition, and beating them all gives you a Keyblade with a better magic stat than the ultimate weapon, so there's that. Okay, well, if you can get a little bronze crown that can then turn silver, then what makes it turn gold? Say hello to the Lingering Will, the ultimate super boss. Being level 100 with max stats and the perfect gear won't even make this fight a breeze. No. You will learn this fight, and when you fail, Lingering Will is gonna punish you, and then he's going to kill you, and then you're going to start the fight back over. Not only is he insanely difficult, but lore-wise, it's actually a really neat concept for a boss. Plus, he has one of the sickest introductions ever. Hollow words in a graveyard, screaming at Xehanort, and then, oh shit, here we go, we're fighting, and I'm dead. I love everything about this fight. From its fuck you amounts of difficulty to its really neat lore tie-in, it's the golden standard for a super boss in any game, let alone a Kingdom Hearts game. Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite game series of all time. It may be a rather common opinion, but I think Kingdom Hearts 2 sits at the pinnacle, and even retrospectively, I find it to be one of my favorite games I've ever played. From the beginning, the game grabs your attention and manages to capitalize on everything the original did right, while improving on a lot of things that the original did wrong. So many moments in Kingdom Hearts 2 just hit the exact right emotional beats, and at the end of it all, you were rewarded with the most satisfying, tear-inducing ending to a 3-game arc that cannot and likely will not be topped by the series moving forward. Kingdom Hearts 2 is the perfect sequel.